What up, everybody? Welcome back to the Charter Podcast, presented by St. Xavier University. I am Alex Shapiro, and with me, as always, my guy, 𝗬𝗏𝗍𝗶𝗹 remains on the trip of a lifetime. She's having a wonderful time, so you're stuck with the two of us talking Bears football. And today, we are doing a pro day roundup. The combine is over. Teams are doing their due diligence to set their draft board, so they're meeting with all of these players at their pro days at various schools. Top 30 visits coming up, and we are going to go over some of the biggest nuggets from those pro days. But before we get going, Clay, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing great, man. Excited. You know, I love pro days, love combine. This is a cool time of the year, not only for the scouts and the coaches, but also for the players. If you're a guy that didn't perform well at the combine, you get a chance to improve on that at the pro day, and most teams will take your best numbers. If you're a guy that just didn't want to run at the pro day or the combine, for whatever reason, now you got to really show up at the pro day. You got a chance to show these guys what you can do. And if you're a guy that's maybe injured and you couldn't perform at the combine, now this is important for you to show the teams that you're healthy, you're ready to go. By the time camp starts, everything starts going, that you can be on the field and help this team in the way they want you to. So it's a cool time right before, obviously, private workouts and the pre-draft visits. The pro days are an extremely important but exciting time.
Yeah, so we're going to just dip into a few of these pro days that are honestly still ongoing, whether or not they had big players that we're interested in or Bears brass were spotted there. And we're starting with a big one, the University of Michigan, where both Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen were there. How do we know that? Because Michigan put out a hype reel, and the very first shot after they established Michigan is Ben Johnson. Yeah. The first shot is Ben Johnson, and then later you see Dennis Allen in that same hype video. Those two guys almost certainly there to see Mason Graham, the big-time defensive tackle. Will Johnson also there, arguably the best cornerback in this draft. And then they have another really solid player that is maybe in play for the Bears, Kenneth Grant. So let's just dig in to all of that, Clay.
I got a conspiracy theory
about
Michigan, too. That's a little bit of Colston Loveland as well.
Ooh,
obviously, I'm a tight end. I love the tight end. I think the Colston Loveland, I think he's in that no man's land between 10 and obviously 39 there. He's going to go somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. But if the Bears trade up from that second-round pick, or maybe they trade back from the first-round pick, I think he's a guy that would make a lot of sense just with Ben Johnson's history with tight ends, with what he was able to do with Sam Laporta last year and how he liked to utilize them. He was the third most used two tight end sets in the NFL last year, almost 1/3 of the time. And I think that he has a different skill set for Cole Kmet. He's very good in the passing game, runs crisp routes, almost just like a big wide receiver. He's really good at that stuff. He could improve on blocking, but he is a guy that's a weapon. Caleb, a big target that Caleb Williams would love to throw to. So that's my conspiracy theory, that Colston Loveland is on the board and they're looking at him too.
I mean, he's definitely on the board, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Tyler Warren gets all the talk because he is by far and away the best tight end in this draft, but Loveland is, right below there. It could definitely be a first-round pick. Now, Kenneth Grant, you mentioned some guys will try to improve on what they did at the combine. At the combine, he had 22 reps for a nose tackle. Big, strong guy, not that impressive. At the pro day, up to 27. So I'm just, Clay, interested, what does it tell you about a guy who 1 month later is doing 5 more reps, is improving upon his numbers, is improving upon his performance?
Honestly, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Maybe he pulled something, strained something felt a little off. Maybe they were making him lock out a little bit longer at the combine. At the pro day, the guys were a little more lenient. He got into a better rhythm. He could bounce a little bit more, but 5 reps in that amount of days, you're maybe 1 or 2 reps different, but you're not going to get 5 reps stronger in that amount of time. So honestly, that doesn't make much sense to me. But overall, let's talk about Kenneth Grant. Kenneth Grant is honestly one of my favorite defensive tackles. To me, he's not far off from Mason Graham. Like, watching the tape there, he's a much bigger guy, but he is tough to move. He can still get pressure. He's athletic. He is a big boy. He's a guy, didn't he lose like 60 pounds? Yeah. He came into Ann Arbor as a 360-pound prospect, and he lost 30 pounds and became just so much more athletic. And last year he racked up 32 tackles. I mean, this guy's he's a guy that's just a space eater. And you're not going to be able to run the ball inside. He's good against the run. He's good against the pass. I really love Kenneth Grant, but once again, he's kind of in that no man's land between 10 and 39 for the Bears. So it probably takes some sort of a movement or a reach for them to really have him on their board.
Well, let's talk about another guy who might be a reach. The winner of our March Madness bracket. If you haven't seen our March Madness bracket of who the Bears should take with the 10th pick, definitely check out those 2 episodes. They shouldn't be too far back in your feed. Mason Graham, spoiler alert, was our winner. Mason Graham is probably not going to be there at 10, let's be honest. There's a chance he's not there at 10. There's a chance that maybe he is. Is Mason Graham worth trading up for? Ryan Poles has traded back a bunch. He's never traded up in the first round. Is he worth trading up for?
That's a tough one. It depends, obviously, what you're giving up. I wouldn't want to give up either second-round pick because I think you have a lot of holes in this team and you need those picks. But if you're giving up your third-round pick, and especially with the Bears' history with third-round picks, I mean, get that third-round pick out of here anyways. Give that thing up. But I think if you can give up a third to move up a couple, depends on where he falls. And it depends how the draft goes. Obviously, I think Cam Ward's 1. Shedeur Sanders, is he going to go in the top 10? Jackson Dart, could 3 quarterbacks go in the top 10?
Well,
where does Abdul Carter go? And then after that, the Jaguars, do they want to go Travis Hunter? Do they want to go Mason Graham? If he starts falling into the 6, 7, 8 range, I think that's when you make a play, just because you can get him for less than if he's in that top 5 range before you pull the trigger. I think you'll have to give up too much.
Sure.
So yes, that's when I would make the play there.
Makes sense. All right, moving along to LSU.
Yeah.
This one was today. We are recording on Wednesday. So today, Will Campbell, his arms grew damn near half an inch. Can you believe it? Came in at what, 32 5/8 at the NFL Combine, but at LSU's Pro Day, he hit the magic number 33. That magic number that says, yes, you can play tackle in the NFL. What do you make of this, Clay?
Have had my arms measured, and my arms also grew at my pro day because it's the dumbest thing in the world the way they do this. They literally, if you're listening, they find your shoulder blade with their finger, like they're a doctor, and they go, okay, this is where your arm begins, and they just measure it out. A more accurate measure would be a wingspan, because literally from fingertip to fingertip, you can't mess that up.
Yeah.
Guys will find, if you're
where's
watching,
my shoulder blade?
They will find different spots that they think your arm begins, and that's why you get a different measurements. No, your arm didn't grow. They will measure you literally from different places. So my pro day, I was like a 33-inch arm guy.
Yeah.
At the Combine, I was like 32 5/8 arm. So I had the same diagnosis as Will Campbell. Obviously, mine didn't matter as much because I was a tight end. But to me, that's a non-starter. I think this guy can play, and I think that his arm length isn't going to be an issue. And did the Bears have anybody at LSU?
Not that I saw, but again,
Which
like,
is
it's still
interesting.
trickling out. It's still trickling out at the time of our record. We know that we'll flip ahead. The Bears.
They obviously had scouts there, probably.
I'm sure.
But none of the brass.
But the big brass, the big guys were at OSU today, where I believe it was both Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles. So lots of guys at OSU the same day as LSU.
And Will Campbell didn't do anything. He didn't he sat on his combine numbers.
Sat on the combine numbers.
Mason Taylor, the tight end I want to talk about, he ran the 40, and he ran a 4.65. I think that'll put him second among tight ends. He had a nice day. Looked like he was running drills in the field, catching balls. So Mason Taylor, a tight end that could be that third round range. Maybe somebody takes a flyer on him in the second. But Mason Taylor's a guy that can do it all. We loved him at the Senior Bowl.
Yep.
Yeah, he's Jason Taylor's son.
Got
right?
the NFL pedigree.
Yeah, got the pedigree. LSU guy, can run, can catch, can block. Is a guy to keep an eye on as far as tight ends. If obviously the Bears don't go tight end in the top 10, which I've been getting a lot of DMs about my take yesterday that we posted about me wanting to go Tyler Warren at 10.
Hey, crazier things could happen.
It's like
and he's
50-50.
a really good player.
Half of the guys want him, half the people don't. Half the people say trenches, which I still think trenches need.
I'm flipping back to my mock draft notes because I mock drafted Mason Taylor to the Bears in the third round with that 72 pick, as you said. Not only does he have the NFL pedigree, not only is he impressive at the Senior Bowl, record setter at LSU.
Oh, wow.
His 129 career catches and his 1,308 yards, both the most by a tight end in LSU Tiger history. So, guy's a ball player.
Yep.
Guy can definitely play ball. Okay. And just to touch base on Will Campbell is, again, like, we've said this a bunch. We love this player. We're both on the record saying, like, the arm length doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He said it. He said it himself. Watch my tape. You're not going to see any plays where he said, oh, wow, I gave up a sack because of my arm length. He's played at such a high level, all at left tackle, all throughout his LSU career. He's got the reps. He's got the tape. You can watch it. He looks very good. So we are not concerned about the arm length, and now maybe nobody else will be concerned about the arm length because now they're 33 inches.
They grew.
They grew.
Is it even food? If it isn't fried, Lawrence's, open 24 hours, east of Pilsen. Good fried fish isn't just for Good Friday. Lawrence's, the food you crave.
SMU, this is a guy that you really like, Brashard Smith, who came out and said, yeah, I've got a 30 visit planned with the Chicago Bears. Now, 30 visit, a team can pick 30 players that they want to meet with in their facilities or for additional meetings. Brashard Smith, according to him, is going to be one of those 30 guys. I accidentally got a video of him at the Senior Bowl. When I was trying to film Omar Norman Lott, the defensive tackle, all of a sudden Brashard Smith goes off, and I'm like, oh, wait, that's a great run. But you want to talk more about Brashard Smith.
Let me cook here.
Cook.
So last night in the Big Pro Football Show, in our rundown, our producer Casey sent over the rundown, and Brashard Smith, it got quoted as saying he's taking a pre-draft visit to the Bears. And I remember, I remember this guy, I seen him at the Senior Bowl. But I'm like, who is Brashard Smith? I don't remember him sticking out. I remember maybe a couple of solid plays. Alex has his Twitter. Follow Alex on Twitter to see some Brashard Smith.
Scroll back a little bit
Never
to the
seen,
Senior Bowl stuff.
Never before seen. So I look into him, I watch his tape, and I'm just blown away. I go, how did this guy fly under my radar? Because this guy was a former wide receiver at Miami. He transfers to SMU, who was a good team last year, and just absolutely crushes it. So he ran a 4.39 at the combine. He comes back to his pro day and runs in the 4.2s, 4.26, 4.27.
Woo!
Wide receiver background creates legitimate flex matchups from empty sets. He has kick return prowess. He's had at least 30 kick returns the last 3 seasons. This guy's a kick returner. The Bears could use a kick returner. Obviously, they just got Devin Duvernay. You can't have enough. He led the team at SMU with 1,332 rushing yards, 235 carries, 5.7 yards per carry, and 14 rushing touchdowns. That's not it. He had 39 catches for 327 yards. A lot of them were split out. 4 receiving TDs and kick returns. He averaged 23 yards per kick return. So this guy can just absolutely play. Eric Bieniemy's there. They're bringing him in for a pre-draft visit. He's ranked 15th on ESPN for running back rankings. So I'm thinking, man,
There are so many good running backs.
there are so many good running backs here. Brashard Smith is a guy, and I think I mixed up Brashard Smith with
Jaydon Blue.
Jaydon Blue as far as the 40-yard dash.
Oh.
So he ran a 4.39 at the combine. He wasn't a 4.2 guy at his pro day.
Okay.
And Eric Bieniemy was not at his pro day. I'm thinking of Jaydon Blue, but he is coming into Chicago for a pre-draft visit, and this guy can play, he can run, he can catch. Great receiver, but we're also going to talk about Jaydon Blue, who is a guy that Eric Bieniemy was at his pro day with Ryan Poles in Texas, just to clear up any confusion.
Okay.
2 running backs here, but both of them are very impressive. And the crazy thing is, you turn on the film of both these guys, they have very eerily similar skill sets.
They really do.
So that tells me that they're looking for a specific type of running back that kind of reminds me a little bit of Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, home run hitter.
Reminds me of one of my former teammates, Alvin Kamara, who's obviously that Saints pedigree. But Kamara was a 3rd-round pick. People look at me crazy. I'm not saying he's Kamara or Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm saying they have that skill set. And watching their tape, they can be explosive guys, and they can play in the NFL. I can see that right now.
It was funny, before the show, Clay is showing me Brashard Smith highlights that he had found. And there was a few plays where I'm like, wait, where is this guy? Because he's playing wide receiver. And I'm like, wait, the empty's back. Wait, oh my God, the guy playing wide out, that's the running back basically playing X.
His main position at Miami was wide receiver. He played X in slot. And then he moves to running back and has 1,400 yards out of the backfield, and he ran a ton of inside zone.
Weapon.
This guy's running between the tackles. He's not just running sweeps. Incredible weapon.
Yeah. So, more players emerging. This is the time. This is the time when teams fall in love with players, when they can get these more intimate experiences, right? The scouts get a lot more hands-on experience with them. The position coaches get some one-on-one time with them. This is when it all happens. Okay, so we are moving on to Marshall. Mike Green basically confirmed what we already knew, which is he is an extremely explosive athlete. But Clay, you wanted to talk about his 6-8-5 3-cone drill.
Yeah, I'm a little upset he didn't run the 40, but he did bench press. I think he had 28 reps, which is strong. It's very strong. I mean, it's not quite 30 reps, but it still is strong.
You know anybody who's done 30 reps?
I've done 30 reps at the combine, bench press, and I know it's pretty difficult to do. But Mike Green, still 28. 28's really good. And I'm saying that just because I want to pat myself on the back for 30. No, but his 6-8-5 3-cone drill, I had like a 7 3-cone drill, so I know, and I was pretty good at it. But 6-8-5 for edge rusher is flying. He would have had the #1 3-cone for any edge rusher this year. He would have had the 8th best since 1998. Yeah, I looked up that stat. Don't ask me why, but that's still pretty dang good. And he had a 4.25, 5.10.5, the short shuttle, which would have been second among all edge rushers. So basically, this guy is really good in short spaces. He's got great agility, and he's got get off. I wish he would have ran a 40, but he did do drills. He did the bench press, and everything you said that he did check the boxes of what we saw at the Senior Bowl on his tape, why he is one of those guys. Still touched on him again as a player. Unbelievable motor. He plays so hard, so aggressive. I was talking to 𝗵𝗂 Perry, the host of the big college football show, and he's like, Mike Green might play too hard. He plays desperate. He said he plays desperate.
Is there such thing as playing too hard?
He says he might be he's just too aggressive and he might let some things get away from him. But 𝗵𝗂 Perry still loves him, and he just plays so hard every play, good against the run, good against the pass. If the Bears did take a flyer on him, I know there would be a lot of people thinking, like, who the heck is this guy? Why'd you do that? But trust me, I think this guy's going to be a good pro.
And traits match the production.
Yes.
Also, right? There are some guys, traits, but where's the production? He's got the traits, led FBS with 17 sacks, and it wasn't just because he's at Marshall. He had 2 sacks against Virginia Tech. He had a sack against Ohio State, right? I mean, these are...
That's 15.5 more than Shamar Stewart had.
In his integrity. No, he had 1.5 sacks. So he's got the traits, he's got the production, and he once again showed the world he's a very good athlete at his pro day.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Big one that you teased a little bit.
Yes.
Texas. We had Ryan Poles and Eric Bieniemy photographed on hand for this pro day. Bieniemy is interesting. And why don't we start there with Eric Bieniemy for Jaydon Blue. This is where the Bears and David Walker fell in love with Roschon Johnson a couple of years ago. Do you think there's a chance they fell in love with Jaydon Blue this year?
Yeah, here's another guy I want to cook on for a second, Alex. So Jaydon Blue was a guy that we also had in our rundown yesterday. It was honestly because you told me that Eric Bieniemy was there. So the big pro football show, we put Jaydon Blue in our rundown, and so I go and I start watching film of Jaydon Blue, and I go, it was like one of those, another second time in a row, my mind just explodes. I go, who the heck is Jaydon Blue? This guy's flying. He's playing outside. He's playing inside. He's playing running back. I mean, this guy, you can put him up anywhere on the field. So he's 5'9", 196-pound, absolute speedster. High school track credentials, he had a 10.7 100-meter dash. He ran a 40 at the combine of 4.38, but he said he strained his adductor. And, some people roll their eyes that say, bro, you ran a 4.38. You didn't strain your adductor. No. Until his pro day, when he comes back and runs a 4.26, 4.27.
That's fast.
Absolutely flying. So this guy last year at Texas, he's not playing at a small school, had 730 rushing yards, 5.4 yards per carry, 42 receptions, and 400 receiving yards with 6 touchdowns. His explosiveness earned him increasing opportunities in the passing game, and he had 2 touchdowns against Ohio State in that college football semifinal. So this guy can catch the ball. This guy can run the ball. He runs a 4.2. The Bears were at his pro day, and we're not confusing him with Brashard Smith. Brashard Smith, he's coming in for a visit. The Bears. Eric Bieniemy was at his pro day at Texas. Yeah, they're probably looking at other guys, but the only reason Eric Bieniemy's there is because he's the running back coach, so he's looking at the running back. So I think he would be a good weapon for the Bears and a guy that's really just a home run hitter. You can line him up inside, outside. Reminds me once again of Jahmyr Gibbs. Him and Brashard Smith got such a similar skill set. Like watching their tape, I'm like, is this the same guy in like a different uniform? Do you think they swapped uniforms?
I don't.
Probably not, right?
But they do look very similar. Another thing that's interesting about Jaydon Blue, was in a bit of a timeshare at Texas. He was not like the bell cow guy there, so not a ton of tread on his tires. Last season, he had 134 carries. The year before that, just 65 carries. So it's not like he's a guy who was run into the ground. His legs should be fresh. And just to add on, because same thing, when we're looking at like who's this Jaydon Blue guy, you look at the highlights, game-breaking speed. I mean, just running away from guys. One thing I really loved, his like change of direction. He's so good. He's so agile with the little. He'll put the hesitation on you. If you are not watching on YouTube, I'm doing the arm shake hesitation. He like just freezes guys, and then like one cut and he's by you.
Yeah.
So that hesitation, that agility, off the charts. And then as a pass catcher, it's also not just one thing that I notice, because sometimes like, okay, yeah, he's good in the screen game, or he leaks out in the flat and that's it.
He's running routes.
He's running routes. He was running like all sorts of wheel routes.
Yes.
Real good. Bears fans will remember Tariq Cohen was so good at that wheel route, right? This guy also very good at the wheel route, arrow route, in the flat, screen, whatever it is. Big time pass catcher, big time route runner. So interesting player.
Yeah, another guy from obviously the Texas Pro Day. We got Isaiah Bond, who is making a trip to Chicago. It was reported that he is coming to Chicago on a pre-draft visit. Isaiah Bond is the guy that said he was going to break the combine record for the 40, and he ran like a 4.39. Matthew Golden, his teammate, ended up running a 4.29. Who's the speed coach at Texas?
I don't know.
Whoever the speed coach is at Texas. I want to
good job.
Find you. Just shake your hand, because you're doing a great. Matthew Golden ran a 4.2 at the combine. Then obviously we got Blue that ran the 4.2 at his pro day. Isaiah Bond ran a 4.35 at his pro day. He re-ran the 40.
Xavier Worthy,
a
couple of years ago.
Yeah. Isaiah Bond. Talk about him a little bit. He is a guy. He's speedy. I don't like him as much as the running backs we were just talking about here today.
Jaydon Blue and Brashard Smith.
Blue and Brashard Smith. I watched some of his tape, and he is fast, but he had the fifth highest pass rating when targeted on the Texas Longhorns.
Okay.
He lined up 77% of his snaps outside. I think we need a slot guy in Chicago. If you're going to go that high of a draft pick, why would you draft a guy that's playing the same position as DJ Moore and Rome Odunze?
Right.
And he's 77, 78% outside. He's an XRZ. He's small, and he just really didn't have a lot of shake to him. He's kind of straight line speed, track guy. He was a two-time state championship track runner. He ran like a 10-1 and a 22-1 in the 200. So he can move, but if you go for him in the first round at any point for a trade back or trade up, if he falls to 39, maybe he's worth a flyer, 41. Besides that, I wouldn't touch him.
Sure. Now, of course, there were a ton of other really good Longhorns at their pro day. Chief among them, Kelvin Banks.
Yeah.
Right? This is a guy who is going to be in the conversation for the top tackle in the draft. I know Tyler Warren upset him in our bracket, but he's a serious left tackle, very good. He won the Lombardi Trophy, which is recognized as the best lineman, regardless of offensive line or defensive line. The best lineman of the year, Kelvin Banks won, so Ryan Poles was definitely there to check him out. And then there are a handful of really good defensive linemen. Vernon Broughton participated in positional drills after he did not at the combine. People who were there said he looked good. Alfred Collins also there. And then there's other really big-time players. We mentioned Will Johnson, the cornerback from Michigan. The number 2 cornerback is probably Jahdae Barron. They also got a really solid safety, Andrew 𝗻𝗂, and Tony Pauline from 𝗬𝗏 reported that Vernon Broughton met with the Bears and that Jahdae Barron and Andrew 𝗻𝗂 both had plans to meet with the Bears. And he even went as far as to say, like, hey, keep an eye on 𝗻𝗂, the safety, to the Bears in the 3rd round. We've talked about how the Bears need a safety, so they laid their eyes on a good one, according to Tony Pauline this week.
Bears definitely need a safety. Obviously, we know the history with Brisker's concussions. We know what's going on. We know how old Kevin Byard is. I'm not saying he's old. He's 32. It's not old. I'm calling myself a grandpa if I'm calling him old.
Right.
But football-wise, he's getting up there. He's in the last year of his contract. So the Bears need some depth there at that position.
Okay. And then our last one, we saved the biggest for last. OSU, Ohio State. I want to say they had something like 17 players. They're going to have a lot of Buckeyes drafted this year. A lot of big-time players, and that's why Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles were both there today. I'm just going to rattle off some of the names that are relevant for the Bears. Left tackle, Josh Simmons.
And you guys know, Alex Shapiro is the head of the Josh Simmons fan club. Okay?
Clay has
Remember
nominated
that.
me, and you know what? I'll accept the nomination. I think this guy is a very good left tackle. And you know what he did today? He moved
worked
around.
out,
He worked out. Now, people on Twitter, they said it was a brief workout, but there's videos of him. He's moving.
He threw up 33 reps in the bench press.
So that's really strong. That's really impressive. I'm more impressed with the lateral movement,
After
showing
a
off
patella
the knee,
tendon
showing off the
surgery,
knee.
yes, that's
So,
impressive.
big, strong,
Yeah.
moving. Is that all you need to see? Is that, hey, this guy's knee works?
Yeah, let's draft him at 10. That's it. I'm ready.
Woo, okay.
But didn't you
Clay the
have
newest member.
some? Tyler Dunn posted something interesting. Do we want to share that?
Tyler Dunn posted that there are some,
Just reservations.
some reservations
From
about
scouts.
character from scouts.
And he's a pretty good resource. He's a guy that's,
Yes.
that's.
I am wary of things like this at this time because it is smokescreen season. These stories emerge before the draft too frequently.
It's lying season.
It's lying season,
lying season.
It's unfortunate, but
Yeah.
let's think of Laramie Tunsil. All of a sudden, the bong video, all of a sudden we're talking before the draft. We're talking about Justin Fields has epilepsy. That's what I'm saying. These things come up, and it's unfortunate. So I don't know. I've spoken with Josh Simmons at a podium at the Combine. I have not spoken to anybody that has spoken about his character, so I can't speak to it personally. But yeah, he put it out there that there are some people who have some reservations about his makeup.
Yeah.
So that's that.
I saw Mason Graham had a bong video.
Yeah?
So he can hopefully
So
drop
he can drop to 10 for the Bears?
Yeah, that is not true, guys. I'm just hoping he
That's what I'm
drops to the
saying.
Bears.
These things do happen, and they have real consequences on people's draft stocks. So is that happening to Josh Simmons live right now as we're recording? Potentially. Left tackle / left guard, Donovan Jackson. He played left guard a bunch for the Buckeyes, and then when Josh Simmons got hurt, he moved to left tackle. It's pretty darn good. Center, Seth McLaughlin, also coming back from an injury. Two big-time defensive ends, Jack Sawyer and JT 𝗰𝗄𝗎. 𝗰𝗄𝗎 just went nuts in the college football playoff, had something like 6.5 sacks in 4 games.
I love Jack Sawyer, too.
Great
I
player,
love
scoop
Jack
and
Sawyer.
score guy,
Man,
scoop
yeah.
and score guy. So 2 big-time DEs, 2 DTs, Tyleik Williams and Ty Hamilton, safety, Lathan Ransom, and the 2 RBs, Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins.
You'd almost think this team would win the national championship
Yeah,
or
wow,
something.
seriously,
man.
a lot of really good
They
players.
got some good players on this team.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of eyes. Again, this is all kind of happening now. What is the most interesting storyline do you think that you're looking for out of OSU besides Josh Simmons and his knee?
Obviously, Josh Simmons and his knee, because that is a guy when he is healthy coming into the season. Early this season, he was one of the most productive tackles in the league, and obviously the Bears are looking for a big-time left tackle. Not sure if they're going to draft where they're going to draft that. Braxton Jones, a free agent next year, coming off an injury, would make sense there. But also, 𝗦𝗏𝗃 𝗏𝗀
A guy I didn't list.
didn't run at the Combine. And people were thinking he was going to be a mid 4.5 guy, might even be a 4.6 guy. Xavier Restrepo, one of our favorite guys from the Senior Bowl, ran a 4.8. We used to call that in college a 40. So it'd be 4.8 forever. Don't even say the last number there.
He tweeted about it. I've tweaked something.
Yeah, after it picked up a lot of steam, he tweeted something. But Xavier Restrepo, I still think he's a draftable guy, but 4.8, I'm sorry, man. You're a slot guy, I know, but that's tough.
That was
You're
at
running a 4.8.
Miami's pro day. We're now at the University of Miami.
Alex Shapiro can run a 4.8, but 𝗦𝗏𝗃 𝗏𝗀, he measured in at almost 6'1". Okay, he weighed over 200 pounds, 201 pounds. Scout 1 had him at 4.48. Scout 2, 4.49. Solid vertical jump. 38 inches, and a short shuttle of 4.15. All excellent numbers for a slot receiver, and he's a bigger guy, so I think he helped his stock. If the Bears are looking for a receiver, I think he would make sense if he falls to 39, 41. Possible, I don't know. There are some bigger name receivers out there, so it's possible that he falls there, but he's a guy that I think would make a lot of sense in the system because he is the slot receiver, unlike the Isaiah Bond, who is the outside receiver. 𝗦liche 𝗶𝗶𝗟 is a slot machine. Pull it, Amon-Ra St. Brown, you pull the slot machine. That's one of the guys that had so much success with Ben Johnson. He's a guy that can just catch football, makes plays, makes guys miss, gets a ton of first downs. 𝗦liche 𝗶𝗶𝗟, I'm on the fan club there, like you are with Jeff Simmons.
I love it. And then it is worth mentioning, we talk about all these 40 times. Unfortunately, Tyleik Williams, a big dude, went down and hurt himself running the 40-yard dash. And when I see that, to me, honestly, it is very disappointing because I'm like, why is a 300-pound, I'm not even sure how heavy he is, probably over 300 pounds, nose tackle running a 40-yard dash? In what world is he going to be running full sprint for 40 yards? That will probably never happen, or maybe once in his career happened that he was running full-out sprint in the 40-yard dash. So it's just a bummer that this guy, hopefully he is not seriously injured. Apparently he returned to the field, gave thumbs up, had a wrap on his hammy. So it looks like he avoided a serious injury. But to me, it's just like, why are we making the 330-pounders run the 40, man?
Yeah, I don't understand that. He's never going to, maybe chasing down a play, he's going to run 20, 30 yards at some point, but just check these guys' get-offs, right? Maybe make him do a shuttle back and forth a couple times, but pad level, get off, short distance quickness, hand strength, hand fighting. That's what you need to know for a defensive tackle. The 40-yard dash is probably 20 yards too long for one of those guys, probably 30 yards too long. Show me their quick 10, and then that's all you really need to see. But hopefully he's okay. I don't think it'll affect him too much. He's a guy that could sneak into the first. Could fall to the Bears, 39-41 possibly, especially this could actually work in the Bears' favor if they wanted him to. But a solid player, and hopefully he's okay.
Yeah. So that'll do it. Yeah. We took you around the country to a bunch of pro days. We talked about a lot of players. There are going to be more players that emerge. That's just like, wait, that guy's interesting. That guy's interesting. As reports of 30 visits continue to sneak out. Wait, who is he? Oh, intrigue. So obviously we got our eyes on the tackles. We got our eyes on the defensive linemen. But now we got safeties emerging. We got running backs emerging. Tons of running backs. It's a very, very fun time. And we are very, very much looking forward to bringing you more fun off-season content because the draft, under a month away. Can you believe it?
It's coming, man.
Yeah. So for all of that pre-draft coverage, stick right here with CHSN. Stick right here with the Charter Podcast, brought to you by St. Xavier University. Thanks again for listening, everybody. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week.